All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. We got some stuff to talk about, right? Jorge Masvidal in against Kamaru Usman. I can't believe it. Like, I literally cannot believe that Kamaru Usman is fighting Jorge Masvidal on Saturday, and it's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's happening now, so it's Masvidal. Probably the fight you'd be looking forward to the most in 2020, at least up until whenever Conor fights, because Conor might have a really big fight if Masvidal wins. If anybody thinks that Masvidal wins, and if nothing changes with Conor before the next, I don't know, call it 30 days afterwards, if you think that fight's not happening, you're out of your mind, okay? You know, I mean, like, because basically, look at the playing field. Now, first of all, actually, do I need to tell you guys what I'm going to talk about? Do you really need to know? It's going to all be interesting, all right? But, okay, fine. I'm going to talk about Masvidal, talk about UFC 251, talk about Max Holloway. I'm going to talk about the scariest video I've ever seen that I just saw on Instagram. Like, legit, really terrifying. I'm talking about my sunburn. I'm going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. Talk about Jeffrey Epstein. Talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. I know you guys want to know what I think about that, right? Right? I don't even think there's any politics tied up in that, is there? Right? Like, everybody hates fucking pedophiles, so I don't think that you have to worry. Like, I don't need to be careful. Like, you know, and in these last few videos, like, I just even, like, I'm just going to say this, actually. I'm never going to just not talk about topics because I'm concerned about losing subscribers, okay? For the 100th time, I am not a liberal and I am not a Republican. So if you hear something you don't like and you want to go unsubscribe, that says more about you than it does about me, because I'm not on a fucking side. I'm just giving objective takes on everything. So if you hear something, you're like, Jesus, I don't like what he said there because I only think in line with this stuff. That makes you a robot. So if you unsubscribe, you're a robot. Anyway. But, so here we go. So, first of all, Masvidal's on. I can't believe it. I literally cannot believe it. I don't think ever in my entire UFC fandom. Okay, so I've been fanatical about the 49ers. Yeah, normally when I say fanatical and it has to do with sports, 49ers is the only team that would go behind that, which has worked out very nicely given that one of my best friends is the running game coordinator there. Kyle Shanahan's right-hand guy. And I mean, like, that happened 3 or 4 years ago when I had been a lifelong fan of the 49ers. But anyway, neither here nor there. But I've been a fanatical UFC fan since Shamrock Tito won. Okay, so I was boxing before that. I got super fired up for that fight, and then I was hooked completely. I don't think I've missed. I don't want to say something that's inaccurate, but I don't think I've missed a pay-per-view event at all since then. Okay, what's that? 20 years? I haven't missed a single pay-per-view in 20 fucking years, and I can tell you right now that in that entire time period, never has a fighter that I was a fanatic fan of like get booked as a replacement fighter and they're fighting in 6 fucking days. That has never happened. Never. So yeah, I'm very excited. I'm trying to like even wrap my brain around, like I can't even believe it, because normally when a fight like this, Masvidal Usman is in 6 days, I would have spent the last 2 months so fired up about it that now I would be like I'm still in the oh my god, I can't believe this fight is booked stage, and it's in 6 fucking days. I can't believe it. It's really exciting, man. So here's another thing I wanted to talk about. So when I bring up specific people that have said shit on YouTube and then I kind of bag on their opinion, I'm not trying to be a dick, okay? I'm not saying that they're like shit analysts. I just disagree with them on a specific thing. Like when I was saying Ariel with his tweet about, Abdullah, I'm just saying I wouldn't have done it that way. And this particular one, a bunch of you guys were like, hey, what do you think about the MMA guru? I actually think he probably has better, he knows more fighters than I do. If I'm just kind of looking at what he seems to know a lot about fucking every single fighter, which is impressive. So yeah, I think he's good. I was just watching his live chat though, and he was talking about Masvidal, and people were like, do you think that Masvidal got paid more money? He's like, no, I don't think he got paid more money. I'm like, yeah, he did. I think he got a little bit more money. If you look at how it happened, right? So here's what you need to think about, okay? The UFC has their first inaugural Fight Island event. It needs to be big. It needs to be a big pay-per-view. They know that the whole world is going to look at their pay-per-view numbers, right? Especially the Fight Island one. And they also are very good at knowing how many pay-per-views are going to get sold leading into the event. Okay, just from like Google searches and all kinds. Like, you guys have no idea the level of like metrics and analysis exists now in like the marketing game. Like, you can predict outcomes to an unbelievably precise, degree. Oh, this guy's getting searched this much. This guy's getting searched this much. Oh, this guy gets put in. Let's watch Google and see what the spike is and how does that translate to pay-per-views. Like, they have models on all these guys. Not guaranteed. They just do. It's a fact, right? With Masvidal coming in, like, when Burns got taken off and they were like, oh, they're scrapping the Usman fight. Usman Burns. I'm not sure if they necessarily can measure the full impact of what a decline like that would be. Absolutely. I mean, maybe they can. But I can tell you this. Putting Masvidal on is going to sell easily another... I don't even know. Like, can you imagine? Like, my little brother, who's a very mild UFC fan. Like, he knows just the very main guys just because I've vomited this shit in his face forever. And he texted me. He was like, Masvidal's in. He's like, I might have to order that one. Okay, so if we're at my brother ordering it level, he would not have ordered it. For 100% sure would not have ordered it if Masvidal wasn't in. Then you're probably looking at an extra 300,000 to 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Easy, because Masvidal's in. Maybe more, given that it's coronavirus and everybody's locked indoor. Who knows, right? So Burns was only going to make, he was probably getting a challenger's thing. I don't know, probably call it $500,000 for the fight altogether. Masvidal was, what he was going to get is kind of irrelevant because, they offered him the Nate Diaz money, which he didn't take. Okay, Masvidal can't take that exact deal. He can't, right? So the word is that they started negotiating. Masvidal slept on it. And then the next day, he took the deal. Okay, so it's one of two things. I'm going to guess that they offered him a little bit more. Like a little bit. Like literally, almost like a ceremonial amount that was just like, all right, I know you were playing hard ass, so here, like let's call it that he makes a base of whatever, I don't know, 500K to $1 million, who knows, whatever. I mean, the base is irrelevant, right? Let's say that he was going to make $5 million, right? And then now they probably bumped it to where he was going to make like 5.3. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably like an extra $300,000, which to most people that probably doesn't sound like very much money because it's not. But I'm not trying to be like flippant about 300 grand. I'm just saying that, like, in this game, 300K is not a lot of dough, especially given what how many eyeballs he's going to bring to this thing now. So I would imagine that if they are going to pay him an additional, I don't know, call it $4 million over what they would pay, what they would have paid Burns. Let's just do that math. I mean, let's just do that motherfucking math, right? So 4 million divided by, so that would be, oh God, dude, if they're, to come up square on paying him an additional $4 million over what Burns is, that's 66,000 pay-per-views. He's going to do a lot more than that. A lot. Actually, you know what? He's going to make a lot more than what I said then. Just by doing that math, he's probably going to make more like 10, would be my guess. Because he's not stupid. He knows that too. Like, he knows that too. He knows he's going to do better than, if he just sells 100,000 pay-per-views, then just to break even, that's 6 million right there. If he just does 100,000 extra, and he's going to do a fuckload more than that. So it's a good investment for the UFC. He's going to get paid. Everybody's going to be happy. And then once he wins, he's going to renegotiate because he's going to win. Okay. So now we get to the fight breakdown, right? So I think he's going to win. I think he's going to fucking win. And I was not sure on that until I watched a breakdown on Kenan TV. And he was shown, sometimes when a guy is on a long win streak, or at least I can fall into a trap of thinking about his skill set without really analyzing it. It's like, strong on his feet, got great takedowns, and he matches it, where I'm not really looking at it. and I really looked at it, and then, I looked at what he said, and then I went back and watched the fights. I think Masvidal is going to win. I genuinely think he's going to win. I think he's a terrible matchup for Usman. Like, Usman matches up perfect against Tyron Woodley. Like, Woodley is his dream matchup, right? And Colby landed a lot of shots, right? Colby landed a lot of shots. And I mean, bottom line, where it's gonna come down with Usman, if the same Usman comes out that fought Colby to fight Jorge, he's gonna lose. He's gonna get knocked the fuck out. There's no one that Jorge can't knock out. I mean, he almost knocked out Nate Diaz, and Nate Diaz has the strongest chin in the fucking business. So, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, who has taken Jorge down and then controlled him for the whole fight? Nobody. Literally no one. And did you know that fucking Damian Maia, did you watch the Weasel breakdown? Damian Maia said that Jorge Masvidal had the best jiu-jitsu of anyone that he's fought in the UFC. That's a little secret everybody doesn't fucking know, huh? That Jorge's jiu-jitsu is that fucking good because he loves banging on his feet. So if you keep that in mind, where does Usman win? Where's he gonna win? Right? I'm serious. Like, I am picking Masvidal. I'm betting Masvidal, but I'm actually picking him to win. I think he's going to win. Now, that said, that is completely discounting a couple major factors. One being, how good of shape is Masvidal in? Number two is, how much impact did Usman's new camp have on his game overall, right? Because some of the holes were in his striking. Maybe Trevor Whitman, filled those holes. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. If Trevor Whitman had a lot more time to, because this is the thing, like when I say Trevor Whitman game planning, right? Like, you put him in the mix, that changes the game completely. Okay, I'm talking about he has 8 fucking weeks with you, right? Like, or 12 weeks, like, if you want to do a full camp, a 12-week camp, like, I'm talking Trevor Whitman goes in, he studies the opponent, he figures out the way to beat him, and then he trains that into you. Like, I'm not just talking like, hey, dude, so I watched his tape, and when he steps in on the left foot, then you step to the outside, and he's open for the left hook. I'm not talking like that. I'm talking like, you need to work this. This is what he's going to do. Here's how you're going to beat it. Like, you're not just naturally going to have those types of skills. Like, he's going to figure it out, and he's going to fucking just drill it. So it's autopilot when you fight the guy. Having it for a week and just identifying how to beat him, that doesn't mean you're going to be actually able to fucking go out and do it like you're like a remote control machine. Like, that, to be the remote control machine, he needs time to train that shit into you. So it's muscle memory. And so like, you're training, waiting for these specific cues. You're looking at his hands, looking at his hands, and simultaneously, you're thinking about his fucking right knee, the smallest shit ever, dude. Like, if you've never been in there, you don't understand. Like when you're, especially like if you I think about it like guys I sparred a lot with. Like, if you spar with guys a lot, they have these little tells, and they're tiny fucking things, man. Like, sometimes you won't even really be able to process how you knew he was going to throw what he threw. You just knew. And then you have to, like, if you really want to sit there and fucking analyze it, then you're like, oh, I see what he's doing. He flares his elbow like a fucking millimeter. Like, literally flares it a millimeter when he starts thinking about throwing a punch, and it's like a 1 second interval. Obviously, that's not related to the fucking game plan. But I'm just saying, like, it's tiny, minuscule shit. Muscle memory plus the cues that you're looking for. 1 week, don't have enough time, dude. You've been training for fucking Gilbert Burns. Different animal. So the disadvantage for Masvidal is you have no idea what his training schedule's been, and he didn't have an opponent until just now. Like, he was training for Usman, then he's not, right? He was training for Usman, then he's not. Usman thinks that he's got Gilbert Burns, and so for a couple months, he's got this kind of juke where he goes, gets a new camp, they're training for Gilbert, and now he's got to come back to thinking about Masvidal. I also think that Usman is underestimating Masvidal. Just the way that he talks about him, I don't think that he respects him as much as he should. I really don't, and I think he's going to find out the hard way. Tyron Woodley, great win, but like, Darren Till had just lost to Tyron Woodley. Ben Askren, unproven, and Nate Diaz, is not someone that Kamaru Usman's going to consider on his level. Now, I'm not discounting those wins for Masvidal. What I'm saying is I think Usman is going to discount them, and he might not respect Jorge the way that he should. but we'll see. So yeah, that's what I'm taking. By the way, I completely tangented as usual. What I was saying about the MMA guru is he said that he didn't think that Masvidal got any extra money. He thinks that he just got it offered to him and he just took it. Also, he said, he's like, he had to take that fight. He's like, he had to because his fans would have revolted if he didn't. And I'm like, huh? Like, what they initially announced was just that the fight was canceled. Masvidal wasn't even in the conversation. So I would be curious what he meant by that, because how would anyone have even known that he got offered the fight? Like, that was like completely out of fucking nowhere. They were like, yeah, Burns is positive for coronavirus, fights off the card. And it was like, God damn it. The only reason Masvidal even entered in the conversation is because, I mean, you know, by the time that he's in the conversation, they know, you know, like they knew that it was probably going to happen, or else Jorge's not participating. Oh, going back to what I was saying about Jorge, Jesus, I can't stay on fucking topic. But so he said so they gave him the offer, then he was going to sleep on it. Okay. So just the way that played, like Masvidal from a negotiating position, he can't just say, like, he can't take a number that he had already said no to. He can't, unless he says, the only way he can do that, only way, is if he got some kind of guarantee that if he lost, that he got the same number for his next fight or the fight after regardless, you know, like to where, because whatever he made for Nate Diaz, he was getting offered half initially, then he got offered the Nate Diaz money. So either, what I would guess is he probably got a little bit more money than he did for Nate Diaz, and simultaneously got a guarantee that even if he loses, he gets the same amount of money for the next fight. And then if he wins, they renegotiate top to bottom. Like, if he's the champion, it's a total top to bottom renegotiation, because if he's the champion, he's going to start making Conor money. He's going to make 25. He'll make 25. Would be my guess. Because he's a fucking superstar, especially if he wins by knockout on Fight Island. So, by the way, I'm about to talk about Max Holloway. Anybody who didn't see my Martin Day interview, I highly suggest you watch it. Like, I've watched it like twice. It's so fucking good. You know, it was my first run at it, and I've got a style that I would watch that, because I'm just having a conversation with these guys. I found it very interesting. It's like, oh, I like this. Like, he's just like, because you're getting the same information, but I'm not like, you know, so tell me about what you think about, you know, when you spar, and when you don't get to spar, then, you know, tell me about. I mean, that would be a really shitty interview, but you know what I mean. Like, we're just two guys talking about fights. I really enjoyed that. But the reason I brought that up is because I asked him about Hawaii, and I was like, what do you think about, I was making a comment about his opponent, and I was like, you know, all these guys from England bang on their feet. He's like, yeah, and I'm like, and the guys in Hawaii. Why do you think Hawaiians like punching people in the face so much? He's like, I don't know, man. He's like, but we're the original Fight Island. I was like, that's a fucking awesome shirt. I like, you know, someone should get a Hawaii shirt in the original Fight Island. Anyway, so here's the other thing that he and I talked about that I thought was interesting and might apply to this fight. So, first of all, Max Holloway did no sparring for this fight at all because of COVID, and he said that he feels really good. You know, he's probably less banged up, etc. But so one thing that I've always said about Max is that he does. He paces himself for the first two rounds because he can hang with anybody at 60%, right? And then he turns it on as the other guys start to trail off. So what Martin said about him was that he confirmed that, and he's like, yeah, he tries to give, you know, he gives them success on purpose in the first couple of rounds. So what I was thinking is, because I keep racking my brain, I'm like, what's going to be different about this fight with Volkanovski? And I think that's what it's going to be. I think Holloway's going to win, and I know most people don't, but I do. I think that Holloway is going to turn it up from the beginning. That's what I think is going to be different. I bet you he did ridiculous cardio, and his plan is to not loaf it so much in the first couple of rounds. And not pace himself. Like, I think he's going to go hard from the get-go. And maybe instead of, you know, because Volkanovski's not going to tire out. I mean, that's what he learned in the first fight. He's not going to get tired. So maybe Max needs to beat it out of him a little bit, right? Maybe he needs to beat that fucking heart out of him a little bit. Like, there's more than one way to get tired. Getting punched in the face, getting kicked in the body, that makes you fucking tired, right? Not just throwing punches. Like, because Max, normally, he can just let guys throw, and he'll job, and he'll land, and like, he's like, yeah, tire yourself out, come on. And then they start slowing down, and then he just fucking annihilates him. Volkanovski's not going to slow down unless you make him slow down. So I think that Max's game plan is going to change. I think he's going to bang with him from the beginning, and I actually think he's going to have success, and I think he's going to win. So yeah, so that's that. Now let's talk about the scariest video I've ever fucking seen in my entire life. Let me tell you about the scariest day I've ever had, okay? So I come back from, oh man, all right. So I'm driving back from Santa Cruz, which is the opposite direction from Tahoe, right? Like, so most people go to Tahoe. Huge traffic day. So right as we're going to get off the freeway, there's like this huge fucking shit going on the other side of the freeway. And we're like, what am I looking at? Like, what is this? And it was like a huge like protest, like flags. And it was like, justice for Vanessa. So we look it up and it's this horrible case. Like, it's just a nightmare. And this, you know, this woman got beaten to death by some guy at Fort Hood, and then he killed himself. So, and it's like justice for Vanessa. And you're like, I mean, the guy's dead, first of all. Like, you know, when I'm not discounting the tragedy at all, but like, what, you know, I read the case and I'm like, I don't understand. But the point I'm trying to make is they blocked the freeway off, going the direction that anyone in the Bay Area needs to go, coming home from Tahoe the day after 4th of July. And I'm like, dude, I can't stress this enough, man. If I was hungover on 5th of July and I got caught in like the highways closed traffic, and then I found out that it was because of fill in the blank for anything there is, I would be more likely to support fucking puppy genocide than that. I mean, literally, like, there's nothing that I would throw my support behind if that's how I found out about it. Like, nothing. Absolutely nothing. My head just pounding, and I'm like, why is the freeway closed? And they're like, justice for Vanessa. You know, after 7 hours it would take me to get home, and I would be like, huh. You're more likely to be the victim of a crime than you are to have me support you in whatever the hell you're talking about. Because I don't even understand. Like, what do you mean justice? I mean, it's tragic. It's a horrible situation. But the guy's dead. What do you like? What exactly do you want? Like, that's my problem with a lot of things. Where it's like, if you have a specific thing that you are proposing, I'm with it if it's a good idea, 100%. But fucking complaining to complain, no. Okay, complain, you know, if you want to complain and then, not complain, protest, whatever, show that there's a big movement of people who have the same concern. And then you want to propose a solution that makes sense. Let's have that conversation. I'm with it. Like, we have a malleable society where if your solutions make sense, we can talk about them. And then we can potentially even adopt your solution. But just shutting down the freeway with kind of ambiguous things like justice for Vanessa, and you're like, what does that mean? There's no definition to that. And you can apply that to anything else people protest about. It's like, what exactly are you proposing, right? Like, what are you proposing? So we can talk about a solution and then decide whether or not it makes sense to do it, right? But don't just shut the fucking freeway down for no reason. Why? Why would you do that? Like, what? It's so like self-centered and narcissistic where it's, I'm mad. I'm going to shut down the freeway for justice for Vanessa. You're like, do you know Vanessa? Like, I don't. What does that have to do with anything? And you're like, well, what exactly are you proposing? Like, the perpetrator killed himself. It sucks. I would much rather see him get tortured to death or locked in a box forever. But what are we supposed to do? Justice. What exactly are you proposing? Justice. Jeez. What? Do you not care about battered women? Is that what I'm hearing from you? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I didn't realize we were in one of these conversations. What I'm hearing from you is some real serious transphobia. I can feel it. I can feel it coming from you. And I want you to know that I have a trans child. And if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. But I don't like your tone. So you need to back off that transphobia. How am I? Don't ask questions. Don't do it. That's how you back them off. Just throw transphobic at him. Right? Like, I mean, just in case anybody's new to my channel, one of my best friends is gay. I have no problem with trans whatsoever. I'm talking about the lunatics that will say those things to you. That's how you back them off every time. Just tell them that they sound transphobic. And they'll be like, it's like a skeleton key that is shut the fuck up. It's good. And you don't really need to think about it. I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous because there's nothing that they said that would even be moderately transphobic, but that's not relevant when it relates to those people, right? They're speaking nonsense to you. You picked up on it. Like, what do you mean by justice? Justice. Do you not care about battered women? Transphobia. I can tell. Anyway, so the scariest thing that I've ever seen is this video that is on Instagram right now. You can go look at 50 Cent's Instagram, and it's like 200. I don't even know what the movement's called, but it's like all black people, and they have assault rifles, and they're marching down this road, and then they get on this mic. I mean, literally, all of them have, I'm talking 200 assault rifles, okay? They're like all dressed, masked, and this guy gets on the thing, and he's like, he's like, everything I see here, the government is all KKK, the banking is all KKK, the police, we're not talking to them, that's KKK. Matter of fact, we're not talking to any white people, all KKK, white people driving around in our cars. And I'm like, what? I'm the KKK? I've wanted to be black my whole goddamn life. I mean, till I was an adult. Certainly my young adult life, it sounded like a fucking hell of a, Then I kind of, I just got comfortable with I'm just cool with everybody. It's only a half joke. Like, I would have taken being black all day. Black people are fucking cooler than white people. Is that racist to say? Giving you guys a compliment that you guys are cooler than everybody? I mean, jeez. So sensitive. But how the fuck am I the enemy? When I was running my company, there's a reality show. How many white people did you see that I hired? My first hire, vice president, black. My CTO, Mexican. My lead designer, Puerto Rican. Okay? I'm not riding around in your fucking car. I'm not KKK. What the fuck are you talking about? Why are you pointing an assault rifle at me? So the point I'm trying to make is that is the equivalent to like where you're like, dude, what media are you consuming where this seems necessary? And if it's something I don't know about, that's the scariest part, that maybe there really is something that they're responding to, like the white version of that, that I am just totally fucking unaware of, that's in that state, because that is what civil war looks like. That is step one of civil. As a matter of fact, this video being out is step one of civil war, because they basically declared it. They said, where are you guys at? Right? They're like, come bring it. Okay, so every shitbird, like all the real deal militia, like there's lots. Okay, so I shoot. I have lots of guns. I shoot. So I brushed up against kind of, some militia people at like courses that I took where there's, 100 people there, and there are a handful of those guys there. And the majority of them, well, I don't know about the majority, but there are plenty of them that are like, they're the militia. Okay, they're not fucking with those guys that were on Instagram. But not all of them are like that. And the ones that are the fucking real deal, they're watching that and they're like, game time. We've been waiting for the race war. Let's do this. Okay? That's how this shit starts. I mean, less than a month ago, I was told I had to stay in my house because there were violent looters fucking close enough to my house that I couldn't let my family go outside. Okay? So like, watching a video like that, to me, I'm like, oh, okay, so everybody's just cool. Like, this is just a video that's on like 50 Cent's Instagram. Everyone's like, okay, that's fine. Like, no big deal. I'm like, this seems like a pretty fucking big deal to me. Anyway, so there's that. Now, the other thing I was going to talk about is I just watched this thing on Jeffrey Epstein, because why would you not? It's the most interesting story ever. Here's what I wanted to say about that. Epstein's alive, okay? If you guys really believe he's dead, okay, and I realize 99% of people think he's dead. I don't, and I'll tell you exactly why. If he has blackmail on the most powerful people in the world, and it was possible to kill him, why would they have not done so already? How would he have survived as long as he did? Okay, for them to be blackmailed, they have to know he's blackmailing them, right? So like, it's not like it's a mystery that he has all this compromising shit on them. Well, specifically videos of them fucking little kids, right? Or teenagers, whatever. It's not like they didn't know that those things were there. So if they could have whacked him out, don't you think they would have done it? Okay, have you ever heard of a dead man switch? Okay, so what that means is a person who has blackmail has a mechanism whereby if they die, everything gets released. And it protects them against the people they're blackmailing, okay? Common sense. He for sure had one of those. I mean, absolutely for sure. 1,000%. So if he has one of those and he's in jail, he's just like, hey guys, I'm going to give you guys till, I don't know, let's call it, whatever date. I need out of here. Because I think everybody can acknowledge that the likelihood that every single camera in the jail turned off and the ones that didn't, accidentally had the tape erased. Okay, so clearly something happened that they don't want us to know about. So he's either murdered or he got walked out the back door and they used a fake corpse to pretend like it was him, which is what I think happened, because if he was killable, they would have killed him a long time ago. So, yeah, I was going to connect this to Fight Island. I was going to be like, Epstein Island, Fight Island, but yeah, whatever. Point being, he's alive, okay? Ghislaine Maxwell getting arrested, very interesting, though. Like, I don't know what to do with that. I think that because there was very recently a U.S. attorney who was, like, refusing to leave office or something like that. I don't know, one of my buddies who's, like, a lunatic Trump supporter, like a lunatic. He's like a QAnon guy, okay? And I'm not talking shit. Like, I actually love listening to his stuff, and some of the stuff he says turns out to be true. But he's like all in on fucking QAnon, which is hilarious. I love talking to him about it because that's like, I don't fucking read it. So I'm just like, oh, really? So what's going on with QAnon? But yeah, he pointed out that there was this U.S. attorney who was like refusing to leave like his post. And it was really bizarre. And then the guy left. And then like 2 weeks later, fucking Ghislaine Maxwell got snapped up. And I'm like, so was the U.S., like, did the new U.S. attorney, were they, like, outside the loop and they didn't realize, like, she's protected? Because she was just in, like, some fucking mansion in New Hampshire. She knows she's wanted. She's just in New Hampshire in some fucking mansion. So, I don't know. I mean, if Epstein's dead, she's either gonna get dead or she's gonna fucking tell the world about everybody. Which means she'll probably end up dead. But I think, actually, I don't fucking know. It's fascinating, though. It's a great... Dude, I watched a fucking amazing documentary. As a matter of fact, let me tell you what that is so that you guys can watch it. On YouTube, it is called... Oh, how am I going to entertain you while I actually look this up? I don't know. Maybe I could sing. Okay, it's called Jeffrey Epstein, The Game of the Global Elite. Very good. Now, he doesn't give much credence to Epstein being alive. He considers it, but then he basically dismisses it as less likely than the other outcomes. I'm on my own on this, by the way. I haven't seen this anywhere. I'm just doing what I do, with people. Why I'm so concerned about that Instagram video, because now every radical person in fucking every state saw that video, and if they're, radical BLM, then they're like, how do I join this group? They see that video, they're like, how do I join this group? And then every racist white guy in the fucking world saw that, and they're like, okay, so we need to start training again, and we need to figure out our staging point. Like, this is how this video going viral is how civil war starts. Plain and simple. Like, this is exactly how it starts. That video that I just watched. And again, I understand people. I understand what this fucking thing does to people. Without it, like, just as I watched it and I had the instinct to look up this organization, which is some offshoot of BLM or something, I'm thinking, okay, so if I'm a radical like BLMer that thinks that maybe we're not going far enough, I am joining this immediately. And there are a lot of people that are very angry because the box has been telling them, that they should be for a long time. It's really scary, man. Anyway, so watch that documentary. Masvidal's going to win. Holloway's going to win. UFC 251 is going to be the shit. Epstein's alive. Probably has a 12-year-old bouncing on his lap right now. That's what I got. Love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Peace.